is up, MMA True Believers? I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a participant in the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix and the number one contender to champ Patricio Pitbull's 145-pound title. He was set to get his crack at the gold on March 12th at Bellator 241 in the quarterfinals of the tournament, but that and all future promotional events have been put on pause because of the coronavirus pandemic. And that man is coming to you all the way from Portugal. He's Pedro Carvalho. Pedro, my man, thanks for the time today.
How's it going? The intro was perfect. Was only missing one thing, and soon to be and the new.
Oh. Now, the one thing I was worried about, what's the right way to say your name? I was at the media day, the All-Star Media Day, and they announced it Carvalho. Is Carvalho the right way to say it?
No, it's Carvalho. Lu. We in Portuguese the L and H have the sound L, and it's really, and I know, so I don't even complain because I know it's really hard to people that are native English to say it, so because it doesn't exist in English. So I every time people say Carvalho or Carvalho,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'm just like, okay, it's fine.
I'll just stick with Pedro or future champ. That works, right?
That's perfect. That's perfect for me.
Now, I talked to Emmanuel Sanchez, who was on the 241 card too, and when the news came down about the event being postponed, he was completely caught off guard. Now, part of the reason for him was because he just doesn't follow the news that much, so he wasn't really aware of how bad the pandemic was getting, but also because 30 minutes before it was officially postponed, he was told it was going to be a closed door event. When it went from, regular event to closed door event to all of a sudden being postponed within a few hours, were you surprised, or you kind of saw the writing on the wall from the news and everything going on, like, man, chances of this happening is probably not good?
Like, no, I wasn't following up the news. Like, I knew what was happening, but I wasn't follow. Like, I never follow really the news. I don't like to switch on the news. I don't like to switch on a show that he only 80% of the time he only tells you negative things. So I never like to turn on the news. Like, of course, I like to be informed, but whatever. So what I didn't know at that time was that yeah, we'll be at closed doors. And I said, like, I this was told me like on Wednesday fight week or something. And I said, like, fine. Like, what matters to me, it's Patricio. As soon he's there, I'm fine. The fight can even be in the lobby of the hotel. I
That
don't
would have been
care.
good. I would have
I,
liked that.
I came, yeah, I came to get my belt. The rest is rest. And then I remember it was like 3 p.m. and I was getting ready to take a nap. I just had my lunch, so I was about to take a nap, have some rest, and my manager sends me a text saying like, "Hey, sorry about this, blah 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 blah." Like, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said like, "The fight is off. The show got
Yeah.
canceled." And I was like, "Hey man, don't joke with these things." And he sent me a print of Scott Cooker Twitter saying
Yeah.
announcing that Bellator show got canceled. And man, I can tell that was devastating. That was devastating. And on the first 2 3 hours, like, I was like numb. I was numb. But then, like, like, I never spent too much time, thinking or in a negative mood. Like, I straight away try to focus on the next step. And my next step on that day was going straight to the gym and having my session, because if I'm not gonna have my fight, at least I have my training
Yeah.
session. And I have my training session, and my head got a bit clear. But yeah, but that first 2 day, that first 2 days was like weird. It was like I was in some kind of bad, weird dream, because I visualized myself so many times
Yeah.
coming back, arriving in Dublin, arriving in Portugal with a belt, with a belt on my shoulder, and suddenly I was arriving there and no belt, no fight,
Yeah.
no nothing, you know. So I was like, looked like I was in some kind of weird dream, and yeah, it was be harsh, but like I said, like I don't spend too much time thinking about negatives, you know. I just try to focus on a solution or something, you know, next, and you know that's what I did, and I'm happy that Bellator made that decision because he only shows that they care about us. Our lives are also a priority to them. You know, not only the profit of the shows, also our health. So I was really happy to see Bellator's action on that particular subject.
So you knew on Wednesday, at least Wednesday, you knew about closed door, that you were already preparing for that. But when Bellator, contacted your manager, how in depth did they go with the reasons for the full on postponement? Was it like, oh, it's Corona, this is specific, this is why we can't close door, and at least did they say like, look, okay, we're gonna try to reschedule for a certain date, or they were like, we'll let you know when we know. We really don't know what's happening from here on.
You know, like they at that time on that particular day they knew as much as we knew.
Mm,
You know, we like because I remember when I arrived in America 2 days prior to the fight, like coronavirus wasn't that big of a thing,
mm,
and then 1 week later there was
yeah.
like places will start to events and shows will start to be closed doors or shut down and by the day of my fight day everything was closed
Mm.
and so we didn't know nothing so yeah at those time they couldn't even give us a preview because we didn't know what was about to happen, you know. So yeah, that's that. At that time was the point, the starting point.
The fighters on the card were supposed to be compensated for the work they put in towards the event, because all you guys still did the weigh in the day before and all that stuff.
Yeah.
As a main eventer, I am sure you had to put in more than most in terms of like media stuff in the lead up to that and being the main fight in such a big card. Was your compensation your show money and win money? Was it just the show money? Was it a little bit less? Like, how well can you talk about the compensation you got?
I got paid what I was supposed to get paid, you know. So they Bellator did exactly what they say they will do. You know, they paid all fighters um, show money, win money. Of course, you know, you're gonna depend on contract because they're fighters that have a contract. They receive they have a flat
Yeah,
purse, so it doesn't matter if they win or
yeah.
lose. Then it's gonna then depends on the contract. But they did what they say. You know, they pay the fighters. You know, fighters didn't went there and came back with empty pockets. You know, they got paid. You know, they did their work and Bellator, you know, compensate us. And like I've said before, like it was really good to see like a company taking care of their fighters. You know, treating us like persons. You know,
Mm.
not just like a tool to get profit. You know, because at the same time, when you're talking about big companies, it's normal there the first thought about the company it's the profit of the
Yep,
company because we are talking about a lot of
yep.
money but you know seeing such a huge action like that you know in a big scale because we are talking about a lot of money um, it's really good to see you know that our lives matters to them you know and they see us as people so yeah they all everything was said was true you know all the fighters got paid what was legitimate from them and win bonus and everything.
And now you've been in sport a good amount of time, but not as long as some others. This kind of thing where something, let's say a fight gets canceled because somebody missed weight or whatever, they can't rebook. There's been a lot of times where guys or girls don't get paid. Were you surprised that everybody did get compensated? Because now we're seeing that's happening more often. Or were you like you know what the relationship with is with Bellator? You were almost expected to get paid nonetheless.
Yeah, like my of course because almost straight away almost at the same time that I knew that the fight got canceled, I knew that I would get paid.
Mm.
but like at that time I wasn't even thinking about that, you know. But like I received both news almost at the same time, so I didn't have like time to think what correct or not. I was just thinking about like fuck, you know. I got, you know, that was my thing at the time. But yeah, but like they knew of Bellator paying like was like almost went to the fighters at at the same time as the cancellation. At least with me was like that, you
Mm.
know. But yeah, but it was like almost straight away.
Now, when I was talking to Emmanuel, he told me within hours of everything being postponed or whatever canceled, they put him on a flight right back to Milwaukee, and everything. That was the same for you. And I mean, we've talked when we talked to September, we talked about how you moved to Ireland and everything, going to SPG. But you're in Portugal now. Did you get a flight back to Ireland, and then you went from Ireland to Portugal to be with your family, or you went from Connecticut straight away to Portugal?
No, I was full of luggage and stuff, so I went with a flight straight to Dublin,
Mm-hmm.
and then from Dublin, neither 24 hours I arrived in Dublin. I was flying to Portugal. So basically I arrived in Dublin on a Sunday, and I went to Portugal on the night between Sunday and Monday.
Was that the plan, or because of everything going on with the pandemic, you wanted to be with your mom and your family and stuff like that?
No, no, there was like more than less. Like I was planning to go to Portugal,
Mm.
but like like kind of a week after the show,
Mm.
like on the weekend after the show, I was planning to go to Portugal, and spend their week between in Dublin because I had other matters to deal with
Mm.
it, and that was my plan, you know, fight, come back to Dublin, spend that week on Dublin, and then come back to Portugal. And so yeah, all the pandemic things forced me in uh, in doing like that because I didn't want to risk, because as things were progressing so fast day by day, like I didn't want to risk getting the risk of like getting locked down in Ireland,
Mm.
and I couldn't get out,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And then I will spend all this time till now just by myself
Mm.
in Ireland, far away from my son and my family. So yeah, that was my first immediately thought, like of what I should do.
What's the situation there? I'm in New York here, where it's the worst in the U.S. I know in different parts of Europe, it varies. What's the situation in Portugal in terms of the virus, the stay at home lockdown, stuff like that? Like, have you been locked down at home for a few weeks more? What's the situation for you there?
So I'm in like, yeah, we are in a emergency state for, I don't know, almost a month.
Mm.
I'm locked down since I arrived, so more more than a month now. And but yeah, but things are, I think that things, you know, that's my point of view. I don't really know deep down the matters, but my point of view of what I see things, it's like it's okay.
Mm.
Of course there are still people getting infected, you know, there are still some numbers of people dying, but overall I think Portugal did a good job, because Portugal act like really fast,
Mm.
you know, having
Yeah.
actions about it. And yeah, and because of that, like we didn't have like a boom of numbers,
Yeah.
you know, like in Spain, that is right
Yeah.
there, you know, just beside us.
Yep.
So I think things are pretty good. Like, so right now, we have like in kind of a uh go down and up situation. So it's like it doesn't go worst, but it doesn't, for now it doesn't go like that, but it goes like really slowly
Yeah.
getting better. But yeah, I think they give us the information that we're gonna keep the emergency state until the 2nd of May or
Mm.
3rd of May, and then some national actions will be made. Like they're gonna made a decision if they're gonna reopen some places, you know, some, like for example, shops, you know, going through regular life
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
but like with some stuff they're gonna see how the situation is by that time, and yeah, we'll see. Hopefully things will start to get back on track.
Well, here, we're trying to figure out getting back on track. In some places, like I mentioned, are worse than others. But the president just put in that they're going to stop immigration coming in terms of, but that also affects work visas and stuff like that. Are you worried, as we try to recover, that it's really going to push your fight back with Patricio really, really far back? Maybe it ends up being July, August, September. Because if you can't get in and use your work visa, I mean, you're kind of stuck there.
I'm not even like hoping or expecting to fight before September, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah, because we are talking about all this pandemic.
Mm,
Like for example, I know that I'm gonna be at least in Portugal until mid of May,
mm, yeah.
at least. So with all this, and everything is still closed, all the gyms are closed, everything is closed. We can't, we have to, by law, we have to stay at home.
Mm.
So, and with all this legal stuff, so I don't see getting rescheduled at least on a good point of view before August.
Mm.
I don't see myself fighting before that. If that happened, that would be huge, super. That will be happy days. But yeah, I expecting and fighting around August, September. I hope it doesn't go further than that. I hope it doesn't go further than that.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to the Grand Prix quarterfinals show in September, and you mentioned not wanting to fight in December on the show. And then when you made your selection, January, March was there. You chose March, and then fighting Darren Caldwell over Adam Boric. Caldwell's a guy many feel could win it all. You said that night you wanted to fight the best. I'm sure January was closer to December, Christmas. We talked about that too. You didn't want to fight too close to Christmas. If Boric though was by chance on February or he was in April, would you have still chosen Caldwell? And if yes, what do you feel about that matchup with such a high level wrestler that you really like, that you feel you can beat him?
So like my decision was taken by the options that I had.
Mm.
I just had two options, and like I've said, like January, I really didn't want to because
Mm.
I take Christmas serious, and
It's the best holiday. I love Christmas.
you know what I mean. It's for me, it's family time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that only time of the year where I really can kind of switch off and just
Yeah.
give the proper attention to my family, So I don't want, I never wanted to give it up of that, and so if I have two options, I will just take Marsh. And like I've said, like Marsh appealed me because I like the fight with Caldwell, because it's a big name, former champion, and like I've said before, like I want to prove that I'm the best, so I have to take these big names. It's the best way to prove that I'm the best, taking the best names, the big names.
Mm.
So that was my option, and but of course, that option was taken because of the options that I had.
Mm.
If I had all other options, I don't know how it would be. It depends on the options. It depends on the dates.
Mm.
Like the dates was a big factor for me,
Yeah.
because pretty much the only date that I really didn't wanted was January because it was just after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
December was before Christmas. By February was kind of okay because was 2 months after Christmas, and March was my second, the second date that I disliked the most because January was the one that I didn't like it
Mm.
because was after Christmas, but March was too
Far.
ahead,
Yeah. Yeah.
was too far away, but yeah, but I prefer to spend more time, and also on the back of my mind there was that thing because I watch everything, I watch like these guys, they don't know. I know everything. I know, I see everything they say. I know it, I see it, everything. And I knew that Patricio will pick a later date or February.
Mm.
I knew by the time that I was making my pick that he will pick or February or March by fact,
Mm-hmm.
by his words.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially after I watched his fight, I was like almost 100% sure that
Yeah.
he will
Yeah.
pick or February or March. So Marsh was right there, and like I've said, like the fight there was appealing the most to me was Caldwell, and I was like, fuck it, I'll put myself here, and who
Hmm.
knows, you know. But yeah, but of course when I picked Marsh, at the same time I was like, yeah, he probably not gonna pick me because I'm the guy with less name, you know.
Mm.
I'm the last known guy, so he probably not gonna choose, not gonna pick me.
Yeah.
And yeah, and by the time he came, he said Marsh, and by the time he said Marsh, I was like, he gonna pick me, because we kind of look at each other, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and he kind of with his eyes, he kind of asked me, "You wanna go?" And I said like, "Let's go, let's do this," you know. And by the time he said Marsh, I was like, "Boy, I think he's gonna pick me,"
Mhm.
and then he actually picked me. So yeah, so happy times.
And that's interesting that you kind of you strategized for that. Figured he wasn't gonna pick you because you didn't name. Because I was gonna ask, since because he had the choice, he could have fought you or Caldwell. He chose you. I was gonna ask if you did feel like offended on some level, thinking, oh, he sees Caldwell's the bigger name, so I'm probably gonna be easier. But in that, I'm guessing you did. You were just happy to get the fight, and that's what you strategized to get anyway, and you got it.
Yeah, like to be honest, at this time, we never know. We're gonna really never know because only he knows is really why he picked me. But
Yeah.
I truly believe that by this stage, like all after all these months, go back and forth on Twitter and this and hear a lot of interviews. Like I truly believe that he's just trying to use me by the fact that I'm an SVG fighter
Mm.
to advertise his gym. He's
Yeah.
trying to get his gym name by the cause of SVG. So as I was the only SVG guy there, and he's a Connor fan. Patricio is a Connor fan. He's always talking about Connor. He's probably one day he's probably gonna ask to take a picture with him. but but yeah, and like the only thing that I see is like he just wanted this, to kind of sell the image of his gym, on the cause as SVG is such a gym with big name,
Mm.
and they just that's I think I truly believe that's the main reason why he picked me. And besides all the other guys he already faced, Weichel 2 times, Sanchez 1 time,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like, okay, this side looks good to me. I beat that 3 times, and this guy is from SVG, so yeah, let's like this, So I think that was his way of thinking,
Now,
and of course, like, let's be honest, he really, of course, we all. We in this tournament, every guy thinks they can beat everyone,
yeah,
but
it's true.
he kind of underestimate me, and I know that, and you can see on two different occasions and examples. That is, for example, with Feitel with Michael Chandler, he did his camp in US,
Mm-hmm.
and this, for example, is just say in Brazil.
Hmm.
So you can see that he's not taking me that, like, I believe that he's taking me serious, but not as serious as other fights
Hmm.
before. Maybe now with all these, we say we got faced several times, and I believe I got into his head.
Mm.
But maybe now he's taking a bit more serious. But at the same time, I don't believe that he from the very beginning he never took me like that serious,
Mm.
you know.
When we talked in September, we talked about your pressure style and how cardio is a key element of it. And we also talked about if it were up to you, we talked in events, if the situation was up to you in the selection, you would choose him. And that's what you actually got, which you have, all these things now. Patricio beat two guys with very good cardio and one with very good pressure in Juan Archuleta and Emmanuel Sanchez in his last two fights. Why do you feel you bring what's something that they do not? Is it simply that you have the mix of the pressure and then the length of range, and that's a big difference that separates you from, say, Emmanuel Sanchez, who's a pressure cardio kind of guy?
Yeah, that's several factors. The first factor is like I'm a better fighter than they are.
Mm.
Period. Yeah, and I don't see things other way. But break down fight by fight. Like Sanchez is really good on pressure and is really good on cardio. But that. One thing is putting pressure. Other thing is just you know the difference between me and him mainly is like I can throw less shots, but my shots, each one, it's going with precision,
Mm.
intention, and they probably gonna land.
Mm.
Most of his shot is just throwing, he's just throwing volume, he's just throwing volume, but
Yeah.
it's like he's just throwing to throw. He's not throwing with intention. He's not like setting things up. He's just throwing because he's a savage. I like Sanchez's style, but you can see that when he's throwing things, he's just throwing because it's like warrior style, just going and throwing knees and then this, and that's good. But you can see that there's not a plan behind
Mm.
it, and that's a big difference, and with Arcoleta, like I was there. I was cage side, and I could see that he wasn't there. He wasn't
Mm.
there from the
Yeah.
very beginning.
Yeah.
He was respect. Like I saw him on several podcasts and things after the fight, and I don't know, but I think the main fact there was he was respecting too much
Mm. Okay.
Patricio, and Patricio knew that. Patricio was aware of that. So the only thing Patricio did on that fight was waiting for him,
Mm.
was just stay on the center of the cage and waiting, loading, 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 and by the time he was trying to get their range short, he was cutting him with their big right hand
Mm.
almost every time,
Yeah.
and every time Patricio got a good position, he did what he always do, like 6 times, like on his last 6 fights, that is like holding the round and winning the round,
Yeah.
round by round, and that was it. By the end, he got the decision. So I think one of the big difference makers in all concerns of my pressure, Arcoleta pressure, and Emmanuel Sanchez pressure is like, for example, me and Emmanuel, we go forward, but the thing is, imagine that me and my opponent have a rope.
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly on the same distance. If he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want step back, I don't want step back. So we are always on the same distance. So I'm always in this phase.
Mm.
There's not, even if I'm not throwing, I'm putting pressure by my body position.
Hmm. Okay.
And people from outside doesn't see that. And only when you are actually in front of me, you feel that type of things. And for example, when I know a lot of times when guys throw a shot, guys with respect, like they go backwards and then they go forwards, and by the time that people go back and then go in again, you give time to the guy to kind of regroup himself, see where you are, see where he is,
Hmm.
and strategize again, and all these little millimeters, all these little milliseconds it's counting, and that pressure by and like it's all other stuffs, but my pressure is just different because of that, because I'm always in his face.
Hmm.
And a big factor of that, like I always like to play with body expression, face expression, read his expression, and kind of my own game is going to be a reflection of how I'm reading him, not reading his game, I'm reading his mind.
Hmm.
And then you can see and you can really start to see, because when you are fresh, it's like a machine. The guy is fresh, so
Yeah.
he's throwing with power, he's grabbing with power, but by the time you pass the first round and here you go, you really can start to break the guy up
Hmm.
in terms of like levels. You can see like layers of him, and you start to take one by one, and you start to see the guy really clear. And I like to see that, and you can see that the way the guy throw the punch, the way the guy react when he throws the punch and he sees you receiving the punch, when you throwing something and the way he reacts, all these, I'm reading everything. I'm reading all these, and people don't understand because these things doesn't is impossible, almost impossible to see it, because the only person that is seeing it's me,
Yeah.
and that's a big difference maker, like I said, this what difference me from the rest, and only a guy that is actually inside of there, they know.
Can you so then can you watch previous fights of Patricio and can you read body language and have you seen things or you
Yeah.
need to so what would you say in his last few fights that what are you seeing in terms of body language maybe from round to round energy level what have you seen so far?
What I've seen, like the main thing that he see is like he doesn't like to get tired. He just doesn't like to get tired. Not concerns of what I'm saying. What I'm not saying that he's lazy. I'm
So
saying that
he
he's
conserves and tries to
he
take
he,
minutes
th- he
off and stuff.
he thinks like before he throws something with power, before he grabs you and tries something powerful, he thinks really, really well. He thinks like two, three times before he actually do it. He think he sees the thing, and that's what I say that is really smart. Because terms of he sees the action going on, and he thinks, is it going to be worth it or not? And if he sees that it's worth it, he explodes. He throws like a combination of three shots, like bam, 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 and maybe try a takedown or something. But if he sees that it's not worth it, he's just gonna back it up, and he's just gonna keep that distance, waiting for you, try a counter attack, and that's how he positions himself. He try, like I've said, and that's experience. No, that's a experienced guy. That's the fights that he already did, like the amount of 5 round fights that he
Yeah.
did,
Yes.
they gives you that experience. But the IQ that I have, the IQ that I bring, the fighter that I am, he just never faced, and I'm a smart fighter also. I don't like to brag myself, but I know that I'm a
Brag.
smart fighter.
Say
I know I have a higher IQ than most of the guys that he face. And I can see that, especially outside of the fights, the way fighters are just like on their living, and they, for example, they cross paths and they don't look at each other, they don't, and like every single moment I see opponent or a possible opponent, I'm reading everything, I'm seeing everything. Even the way the people walks, like I can look like, maybe I'm talking now and people, I'm sounding like a psycho, but that's me. I watch everything
yeah.
because every single millimeter, every single thing, I'm going to be like a pattern, of each fighter. And by the time we are inside of the cage, I know a lot of things about you. I know a lot of things that you react in some reaction, in some action, in here and there. How you going to react for when you are tired? Are you going to react when you are on top? How you react if I come back? A lot of things, and that's the big difference maker, the difference between me and the rest. These guys are just focused on fighting, but fighting is way more than that, and that's why they will say time by time, fight by fight, they will say.
Is that part of why you feel the confidence? And you feel confidence because you're such a good fighter, but feel confidence in particular against Patricio because we're going back to what he's saying that he kind of thinks if it's worth it or not and then makes a decision by keeping him on that rope with that pressure. Is that short circuiting his opportunity to think if it's worth it or not? And keeping that pressure, you're really short circuiting his thinking in a way.
Oh yeah, like my confidence comes because I believe on my true being that I'm the best. Period. Not only because I believe, but also because I train since I'm 13 years old. And since I'm 13 years old, I'm saying I'm gonna be the best in the world, and I've been working for to achieve that. And I know the level that I am because all my life I never focused on any other fighters or group of fighters. I just focus on myself and to particularly really know myself, because how you want to study your opponent when you don't know really well yourself. You have to first fully know yourself, full know your body and your mind, and only after you're gonna focus on the other guys. So I know myself, I know what I'm capable of, and I know how far I can go. So and that's where my confidence come. And but of course, talking about skill set wise, like I'm just you never face a striker like me, You never and you never face a guy that I just I really can, and I think I proved that before. I can finish a fight from almost every angle, and I'm not gonna holding a fight. These guys, they just try to all fights, but at the same time, I'm not gonna let to this stall, like, because I know Patricio is smart. I know that I just can go out there and I'm gonna finish you and let's go. No, like, it's a big first is a big fight, and
Yeah.
second is really smart,
Yeah.
and third is used to be the champion, waiting for guys that is trying to finishing him.
Yeah.
And all these, I'm aware of that, and this awareness, like I've said, you never face a guy with the awareness of fighting and even experience of fight. Like I'm a young guy, but I have a lot of fights on my back,
Mm.
because people only see the pro MMA record, but I have way more fights than that. I have kickboxing fights,
Mm.
amateur, pro. I face top guys on K1 level, and I know I'm just know what I'm capable of, and I see myself, the work that I put on the gym, and I never like to spend too much time. I just like to go out there and outcase these guys. And like I said, my only goal right now is just go out there and prove what I said. I'm the best in the world, and I'm just happy, delighted, even with this postponement thing because of coronavirus. I don't care. Like I'm gonna face him sooner or later,
Mm.
and I'm just faced that is him. I'm just happy that I'm facing the best guy that Bellator can offer.
Mm.
Because after him, I know after him, people will say like, you beat Patricio, but you have McKee, or you have Calvert, all these, or that. People always gonna say that you have this guy up there, but
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I have the best guy in the organization to face, to dominate, finishing him, become champion, and prove what I've been said, that I'm the best in the world.
I want to get your thoughts on that fight week. Aside from the dark cloud that it was the coronavirus and everything like that, I want to get your experience as being a main eventer and title challenger for a major event, to be one of the faces of the promotion, even for a week. And I wanted to also show you like a picture I took. I was at the media day, the All Star Media Day, like this one right here. Just to be at a table.
Below. Oh
Got
yeah,
it.
okay,
Just
okay,
to
got it.
be at a table with the likes of Ben Henderson, Douglas Lehman, like what was it like? Was it all you wanted? Did it just make your fire even stronger? Like to be one of the faces of a promotion, even for a week, what was it like?
Like I was when when I was sitting there, and I look around, and I was like on the top seat,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just looking around, and I was seeing guys that I grew up watching. I grew up watching Ben Anderson. I grew up watching Musasi. And I grew up, well, watching Patricio, watching a lot of guys that were there sitting, and I was just there on one of the top seats, and I
Yep.
was like, fuck yeah, this is worth it. This is what I'm worth it,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what I'm working, this is just like a little compensate of
Yep.
all my work, all the sacrifice, everything that I've been through all my life, and I just sacrificed so much, and I deserve way more than that. So I was happy, but I was happy, and but at the same time, I was just like 2 feet away from my
Yeah.
opponent.
Yeah.
I was focused on him, and but yeah, but I was happy. It was a great experience, especially being in New York. New York was always in my kind of bucket list of
Mm-hmm.
places to go. I always wanted to be in New York, and I was in New York doing what I love, and yeah, it was without a doubt a great experience. Was really really good.